Hey, Randy here. Shall we make a game? So today we are starting out by continuing that kind of refactor we were starting yesterday. That's a bit of a clunky turn of phrase, but I'll take it. At the moment we can select 2D objects, but we can't select 3D objects. So that's what we were in the process of doing. We're basically taking the functionality built into an image component, allowing you to click on it, and moving it into its own selectable component that will then plumb into things such as meshes as well. So you can hover over and click on meshes. Let's strip all of this out of the image component entirely. Yep, that can all go. And what do we have here? All this can go. None of this is going to be used anymore. And all of this can go too. I might look at keeping some of it, but yeah, because I'm going to have this image component display stuff. Something I'm a bit wary of is that putting all the selectable component stuff into like this separate component means that I'm going to lose my sort of advantage I previously had, where I was kind of performance advantage, where I was working through the array of selectable things in a linear fashion. I guess you can't win them all. Okay, so yeah, there's enough kind of like complex logic in here that I'd want it to be done centrally. Anyway. Yeah, that's right. I was in the middle of changing all these, wasn't I? Actually, I think I actually just redefined. Yeah. Let's just take this and replace this entire block with it. There's a lot of things to do with images we're going to be stripping out today. Helps if you can type. My typing skills are terrible today. I keep doing this wrong thing. It's a good start, isn't it, to a programming specific stream, not scream, stream. And all the stuff here about locations, stuff like that, you can get rid of all of that. We're just storing the callbacks. And we don't need this either, we can get rid of this. This was so that we could update the image displayed. We're not using that at all anymore, that's fine. We're not layering them on the screen. This will be using though. This is just a bit of a helper because we quite often don't know exactly which... we're quite often going, if this has a callback for hovering, then call it. Otherwise, yeah, I don't care. Oh, I've got this retest comment in here. Why is that still there? Yeah, all this logic should be basically the same. Now, this is the first part that's going to change, because currently we have this bit where it's expecting images, right? It's basically going through the list of what were previously images and they're now selectables. And then if they seem to be filled out, it's then... Oh, I can get rid of that component ID list entirely. Yeah, it's then checking if you're within the bounds of the image. So all of this information is actually going to get lifted out of here. And we're going to move it into a static method in the image component. And then when we create a selectable component as part of making an image component, we'll pass that handle over. Components. What did I call it? I called it something like hover or definitely made a callback for this. Sample, that's it. And that's at the moment just like full of like, warnings and stuff. That's kind of fine. There's something else I was thinking about with this. I might be able to use this for kind of like target picking and say like a game with light guns, for example. All right, so yeah, I can probably get rid of this component ID, I think. No, I'll leave it there because I'll pass it into the Hang on, I'm thinking about this. And yes, it does hurt. So at the moment, whenever you hover over something, we're giving you the ID of the component. I'm thinking you probably just want like in the timer component, I've got this sort of meta. So you can basically go like, oh yeah, you can just give us any number and we'll give it back to you whenever whenever the timer does something. Just so, you know, that probably means the ID of the component that you've hovered over doesn't really mean a lot. Whereas, oh, you know, you can give us a number and oh yeah, that's the ID of the actual mesh that you've hovered over, not the selectable component. So I might change that in a second. Yeah, so all this just needs changing from image to selectable. All of this logic should be exactly the same. And this is the reason I actually wanted to move these into a shared component, is that all of this logic is actually quite complicated and hard to get your head around. But it's exactly the same whether you're interacting with an image or a mesh. And in fact, the two cross-interact because it's entirely possible that you could have, you could start selecting a mesh and then move the cursor over a 2D UI component, which should deactivate the mesh. So they need to be part of the same queue anyway, realistically speaking. Sorry, Casey Muratori, I'm breaking many of your rules here. Okay, so yeah, I need to, I'm going to make that change now to add a meta thing in here. And what did I call this? Oh yeah, there we go. Nice and easy. Okay, then we just need to go through all of these and just update them to read that instead. And we might actually get a slight, no, I was actually thinking we might get a slight speed up in some situations we wouldn't. I think if we could maybe like remove a layer of indirection by using this meta, but I don't think we quite can. And we're going to do the same thing in here. We're going to use that in there. Oh, and I didn't actually document these two properties, so I might do that now. Sorry, parameters, not properties. And it's not necessarily the pointer, whether a screen space coordinate, that's probably, yeah. Yeah, this is going to be for completely arbitrary use. I mean, primarily the pointer, but not necessarily. What did I call this? I called this something, oh, video buffer, yeah. Naming things inconsistently is one of the worst things. I just do it all the time. I'll get halfway down a function, change my mind as to what I want to call it, and then forget to go change it. Okay, and oh yeah, I also need to, so two more things I need to do. I need to pass in this sample callback. And document that. And I'm also going to need to pass in that meta. Where did I do that in here? I did it before any of the callbacks. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Just trying to keep like some level of kind of consistency between all of my various bits and pieces. Oh, that should be plural, shouldn't it? Yeah, there's more than one callback in there now. Okay, and then just need to update the signature of this to match that. And I definitely got a sample callback. Am I definitely filling it in? No, I'm not. And then the other thing we need to do is record that meta we just created. Again, for consistency, and totally not because of laziness, I'm just going to come into here and grab this out and then just replace timer with selectable. It's kind of surprising to me that at no point have I hit any of the, these kind of, I've set like fixed limits for the number of, say, like, components and stuff, and I've not hit any of them yet, which is a bit weird. I would have expected to sort of hit some of them by now. I'm of course hitting like the length limit of a line of dialogue constantly, but I'm not hitting any of these kind of like count limits, which is weird. I just feel like I should be, Okay, that's good. So next up we need to, so we've got this bit where we're iterating through the list of selectable things now. Right, okay, yeah. So one of the things this currently does, which isn't hyper great, is it iterates through the list of items in reverse order, so that, because it's assuming actually this is a bug. This is actually a bug. I'm going to make a note of that this is a bug. Where is the bit where it layers an image? Right. So the reason this is a bug is that this is actually currently depending upon the order of the image components in the list, matching the order of, in which they should be layered up on the screen, which isn't true at all. If you've deleted any image components, it's effectively random. Because say if you had, image components A, B, stop autocorrecting, and then you deleted B, and then you created F, it would put it there. In which case, it wouldn't be on top, it'd be kind of halfway through the stack, which would make no sense. So relying on the order was actually wrong. So I'm going to put a comment in there that I need to make this use the depth instead, because it does actually calculate the depth, it just doesn't use it for anything. Something I have been kind of considering is how to kind of like avoid kind of like a combinatory explosion of kind of overloads of like image layering, because there's a lot in here, and then the only bit that really differs is like, say, this bit down here, because I've got like a modulated one where you can pass in a color and it multiplies them by a color, and if I've got one that looks at the depth, then that's going to be 2 more combinations. It's getting a bit too many. I have to think about that. Same with triangles. I don't really have like a triangle rasterizer for transparent objects yet, which shouldn't write to the depth buffer, but should read from it. And it's like, that's not great. Anyway. Yeah, it's going to get to here, and then we're going to use the sample callback, and we're going to pass down the metadata. That's simple enough. And what else are we going to pass in there? We're going to pass in the position of the pointer. Okay, that's good. And then we're gonna get out of it a depth. So we're not going to initialize that, as we're just going to go, if you're overlapping anything and there's not been something previously selected, then we select that then. So if it, oh, I can get rid of this as well, and we can go forward through the array. Oh, that's much cleaner. I'm much happier with that. Okay. What do I call this? There we go. Yeah, is nan. If it isn't not a number, which is quite a tortured tangle of English, then we need to compare the. Hang on. If we do have a depth, it means the cursor is over it. And then if we haven't selected anything, or if the depth is closer than the best depth we have, then hang on, brain is churning. Then we set the index that we're hovering over, and we update the best depth to match. Okay, and that should all just work from that point. We're going to have to update everything that talks to this, but that should just work. I'm going to make it so that when you pass in an image component, do I do this? Because I think at the moment, I've currently got this thing in here, I'm having to, yeah, I'm currently having to go like all the way through the list and find the thing that you've, we're given like the ID of the component that has been worked on. We're having to scan through the whole list of list items to find it. We can eliminate that using that new meta value. Let's get it out there. Oh no. Wait, hang on, can we? Yeah, we can get rid of that. Yeah. I was like, is that a public function? No, it's not, it's internal, it's just used within here. So yeah, we're going to be importing all of the stuff to do with selectable components into here. See, I mean, like, we've got a marginal performance increase. It probably doesn't offset the fact that we've just turned like a nice linear array scan that exits early into a function pointer nightmare, but whatever, I guess. What actually is the overhead of a function pointer in C? Because I guess it can't inline. Don't know. I'm sure it can't be great for performance because it means the inlining can't really go to work. So we're going to swap that out for that, and we're going to swap that out for that. Nice, very nice. I need to be careful here. I've mixed these up before, haven't I? There we go, that's probably the right one. So yeah, we're basically going to use that so that the selectable thing just tells our list exactly what thing we've kind of we're going to use that kind of meta kind of argument to the constructor of a selectable to point directly back to an item in the list component, so we don't have to look it up. Now there is an extra step we need in here. We need to actually destroy the... No, we don't, because the image component will create the selectable for us. Okay. I was like, we need to track the selectable component here, but no, we don't. Yeah, image components. You are now going to have a meta parameter. Again, I need to bring in the selectable stuff into... Oh, I actually need to get rid of all of these. All of these callbacks can go. We no longer need them. This might not look like it, but we're doing a lot of cleanup here. Taking a lot of stuff that's very much kind of case specific and making it way more generic and reusable. Right, so yeah, in this image component, we need to keep track of exactly which selectable components were created, so we can delete them when we delete the image component. I am at some point going to have a look into making it so that when you delete a component, it automatically, because I do actually keep a record of the, oops. Oh my God, no, Windows go away. I do actually keep a record of the parent ID of each component, but currently I do nothing with it. And a lot of the cases where I'm having to store kind of like child components, stuff like that in here, wouldn't be necessary if I was actually making them clean up automatically. Okay. Similarly, I could probably use a meta in here and just like, rather than having to look this up each time. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Anyway, moving on. Yeah, got the selectable component meta. Am I actually importing the selectable components into here? No, I'm not. I'm going to want to do that. I need to think about this because I'm not storing these depths anywhere, am I? I need to store those depths. Okay, that's simple enough. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's also pull out the depth into a variable just because I might use it more than once. All right, okay, that should work. Now I'm going to have to reset the game back to the start to make sure I haven't broken anything. Okay, that should work, right? Why is that complaining? What do you mean it's undefined? Oh yeah, you can't have a signed float. What are you talking about? They're all signed. Right, so we're definitely cleaning up the selectable part of it. Let's build it and see what happens, I guess. I've almost certainly forgotten a ton of things everywhere. Oh yeah, the list component's going to fail to compile, isn't it? Because I'm not passing in a meta. Oh yeah, I also never actually... I never changed the return type of this. So it's like, oh yeah, this returns nothing. It's like, but I've implemented it as returning numbers. Oops. And this is where we can, yeah, this is where we're basically passing the item ID directly into the image component, meaning that we get a nice callback out of all of these with our bucket number ready prepared. No way is that built. Come on, give me my error. Don't hold back. Oh, I think I saw one. Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah, I've still got this here because that is actually part of the selection system. And we can get rid of the pointer part of it. It's obviously to do with pointers. Okay, let's see what that does. Come on, let's go. Oh, great typing. It didn't crash. That's a good start. That's a good start. I mean, we haven't got anything selectable on the screen, but if I go through to the meta storage section. What do you mean no storage found? I'm looking right at it, you... There we go. I just had to reload the page for some reason. Just browser things, I guess. Let's reset the game. Well, the alternative is Chrome, and that's not really a lot better, is it? Wait, is this seriously going to work first time? That's not right. Oh, I mean, you're really going to sign me now. I actually use Safari most of the time. Okay, so that actually worked, which I'm struggling to believe. Next thing I need to do is actually, because I just realized I added this kind of depth field and I don't actually use it anywhere. Oh, I've broken something. How exciting. Oh yeah, I renamed this and didn't actually rename it in the implementation. Oops. Oh, I wonder if I actually could go back to IE11 with this, because let's have a look. Can I use? I'm going to guess IE11 probably doesn't support WebAssembly. No, it doesn't. There's probably a package out there somewhere to compile WebAssembly into JavaScript just to really, really complete the circle of software misery. Okay, does this still work? Oh, no, that's gone a bit wrong, hasn't it? Oh, very good. All right, so now we start the detective work, trying to figure out what the heck we did wrong here. Yeah, just gotta commit some of these to-dos. I'm probably doing something dumb like passing in a component ID where I mean a meta and vice versa. In here, do I have the bit where I'm creating the image component? Where is that? Oh, it's there. Yeah, I'm definitely passing in the right thing. Okay, that's good. Are these definitely expecting... Yes, they're all definitely expecting that to be an item index. What have I done wrong here? I've definitely done something wrong. And I should have a bit in the AP. Hang on, I've changed this, haven't I? Yeah. Oh no, it's actually the pointer I changed. Right. Yeah, this bit right calls into here and advances the selection state that's in there. It's not actually in the main loop. Okay, that's good. And then it crashes. Very good. Happy times. Indirect call to null. My favorite. So the next question is that repeatable? Because sometimes I found these bugs are not repeatable. So in fact, I would kind of expect them to be. Yeah, mousing over any of these makes the top one disappear for some reason. Okay. Let's just double check everything in here. Make sure I haven't messed something up. Ah, there it is. Yeah, I'm passing the component ID along, not the meta that I just created. So just going to swap that out for that, that for that, that for that. Let's find all of the usages of this. What do I actually use this for? I'm going to guess probably not a lot anymore. Huh. In fact, I can get rid of it because I'm always going to have a sample callback every time. I can just use that instead to determine whether a slot's empty. And then we're only looking at one thing. Ah, okay. Ah, I didn't actually make it a pointer. That would have been a good idea, wouldn't it? Okay, does this fix it? And if it does, I'm just going to have a quick click through the first scene, because the first scene's a lot more complex in terms of like objects. Hey, that's good, that's good, that's good. We're happy with that. That's all the testing we need. To create selectable components. Okay, next up, we need to make it so that meshes can be selected in much the same way. So basically just going to copy everything I just added to, well, everything I had in here. And I'm going to put it there. Yeah, I'll put it there. And just replace every instance of the word image with the word mesh. Okay. We're also going to want to bring in the selectable component header, so we're going to be using it in here. And this is going to break a lot of code doing this. Just a bit of fair warning, this is going to break a lot of code because a lot of code currently calls into this. But it's for the greater good, I swear. Okay, yeah, we need to track the selectable component we made. Oh, I really should add that feature to the core entity component system where it automatically cleans up child components. It would actually cut a lot of complexity out. Oh yeah! I forgot this is one of the places that still uses this like queue and pull thing I made that's honestly legitimately terrible. Do I get rid of it? Later. Let's focus on getting this map working first. Okay, so then we should... this sample function. This is going to be a bit of a challenge to implement for this, I think. I need to have a good think about how I'm going to do it. Probably going to have a look at the rasterization function I already have, and then yes, because I already have a thing in here where I'm kind of like determining. So, the way I rasterize the triangles, I turn it into horizontal strips. So if I work out which horizontal strip you're moused over, and then check if you're if you're within the left and right bounds, that's all the information I'm going to need. That will actually do it. That'll actually work. Anyway, for now, this is just always going to return not a number. I'm just going to avoid these off so the compiler doesn't yell at us. And then I need to add all these to the create function here. And then when we actually create one, yeah. Okay, that's going to anger the compiler of many places. Oh, we're going for a full red screen. Okay. Yeah, so anywhere we're making a mesh, we now need to update it to include these extra arguments, which is going to be fun. Well, they're parameters. There'll be arguments where they're actually used, I guess. I'm also going to do the same thing for animated components at the same time. Because although I'm not going to need that just yet, I'm going to get the pain out of the way. Wow, I only have like a maximum of 8 animated components on the screen at a time. That's kind of low. Surprised that hasn't been an issue. Okay, let's just update the documentation comments. I've just spotted I made a mistake when doing the other documentation comments. Oh, do I go fix it? I guess I do. Just thinking back on the browser thing, I used to use Opera as well. I guess I'm just a hipster when it comes to browser selection. There's just something fun about rolling the dice. You know, you go to a website and you're like, will this website work on my browser? Yes or no? So yeah, the reason I have kind of like an opaque mesh component is that the transparent things are going to be going into a totally separate queue. I'm not going to bother with sorting, but I am definitely going to want them sort of like in a separate pass so they can't obscure opaque objects. Almost there with these bloody annoying comments. Okay, I'm going to have a bit in here that has a nice red, yeah, squiggly underline on it. Let's just fix that now. This is going to pass all these straight down to the, when we're making the mesh, we're also just going to pass all of that information straight down to it. Okay, that's made the compiler slightly less unhappy, but we'll have introduced a whole bunch of new compile errors. Oh, we got a green wall of text this time. How unexpected. Let's see, what's it talking about here? Oh yeah, that's completely right. So we aren't using this for selection, so I might make a second like constructor that doesn't require you to pass in all that stuff, because most objects aren't selectable. But it's also not that much code to say that it's not selectable, so... We're almost there. It feels like a fewer objects than I should have had to update. Yeah, I didn't think that was right. I just hadn't got around to compiling the next file yet. Right, and I'm just there. You go there. Or I guess the auto formatter could just do what it likes. Oops, don't put this in the timer component, that belong there. Okay, we're almost there now, right? Right? Oh my god, we're not almost there. Ah, yeah, this is the place I'm going to be using it right here. So I'm just going to break this out over multiple lines as I have far too much stuff on one line here. So we're going to pass the building number in, because that way we don't need to do any kind of like annoying complex lookups on arrays component IDs. We just have the exact building number we're working with. And I can write the code to do the selection, although it won't do anything just yet. So what order were these in again? Okay, that order will do. Right, we're going to need the selectable meta, which is going to be the building number in this case. And then we can start doing the stuff in here that will... Am I keeping track of the... Oh, I'm not actually keeping track of the meshes anyway. But this is where we're actually going to swap out the mesh for a different variation on it, depending on what state it's entering. Man, so sort of. It's not actually an M scripting, but it's using some of the same toolchain. It's actually just using straight up. Hang on, just clang going directly into a WASM file. It means that you get most of the functionality, but then some things are missing. You're right; it's too short. Yeah, so I don't have an allocator and I don't have a math library. So there might be a sign table in this code base somewhere. I mean, if I was sane, would I be streaming? No, I'm manually implemented them. Well, I mean, when you say rip them, I did dump this out of Node. I basically wrote a script in Node to just basically dump out a sign table, and then the actual bit that looks up in the table, that's kind of handwritten. It needs interpolation. I'm aware it has bias, and it also doesn't have any interpolation, so it's not great, but it's good enough. There's also some stuff in here like nan checking, linear interpolation, constants, clamping, min, max, that kind of thing. It's surprising how little you actually need to make a basic game. If I ever need like Arctan or anything like that, I'm so screwed. I'm not gonna have any idea how to implement those. I actually kind of wish, because WASM doesn't have a lot of math operators. And it'd be kind of nice if it did, if you were just able to get like the either the CPU or the system like sign just through an opcode. But I get why it's meant to be like a minimal viable assembly language, right? Right, so I am going to select the mesh that's... I'm just going to bring in the right headers for all of this. that's the one. So when we're hovering over it, we are getting the hovered mesh. Same index. Dead simple. I've had a few memory issues. Well, so the thing is, I don't have an allocator, so everything's just static. I'm trying to keep like the API between the game and its host like really, really kind of minimal, so that it's just stupidly easy to make an implementation of it. And because it's like a bounded simulation, you kind of know ahead of time how many objects you're going to need, how many meshes you're going to need, how many, you know, how big a dialog box can be, all that kind of stuff. So I shouldn't really ever need a dynamic allocator. Shouldn't. I probably will eventually. Okay, so that won't work yet. Oh yeah, especially won't work if I pass the wrong number of arguments and things. What is this talking about? Oh yeah, I need to unwrap them. Yeah, so are you ready for your next kind of like, what on earth is this guy doing thing? I love this fact. So I don't have the file IO in this engine, and instead, whenever you import a model, it actually just generates a C file with like all the coordinates in it. And likewise, you bring a texture in, it's going to convert it into an absolutely gigantic array. And to try and keep the the compile times relatively fast, they're in their own C file, meaning that it'll only recompile those when they change. But something really annoying about something referenced from another C file is that if it takes any kind of complexity to initialize it, you can't statically, kind of like reference it from a global variable. So what I'm having to do instead is have factory functions, which then get unwrapped at the time of using them. Now, I am going to have an option later on where it will actually, if you're doing like a production build, it will actually inline the C files directly into here. That's, this macro will instead inline the whole C file containing all the coordinates and stuff. But not yet. Just for the sake of kind of like a fast development build, it's currently just importing a function pointer it can execute to get the actual mesh or texture out. I mean, if I was sane, I'd be using like Unreal. I mean, I wouldn't be using Unity at this point, given they've shown their hand. What's this saying here? What's it saying? Oh, yeah, I haven't added the new arguments to this for the various callbacks. So we are 6 short. Let's compile happy with that. So yeah, the memory access issues I have had is just basically mismanaging those kind of like fixed size buckets, like trying to failing to clear stuff. So then I go back in and I say run out of image components because I haven't been flagging them as reusable. Mixing up indices between different buckets, so I end up like overwriting the wrong. I had like a bunch of issues with the list component, because the list component has items, right? And each item references both the list it's part of and also the image that that you can see. And what I kept doing was I kept mixing up those two lists. So, yeah, I'd like go, yeah, I'll just delete this list item, and it just delete the whole list. I'm like, what? What happened? So we've got hovered, unhovered, activated, deactivated, and clicked. Oh, I didn't actually save before I ran the make. Oops. Yeah, so one of the other things is I'm using just a basic make file, not doing anything like particularly fancy with regards to build structure here. And that means by default it does one thing at a time, and I have a separate like target image file per character in my font. So that's a lot. That's a lot of individual C compilations. Okay, that won't do anything yet, but it didn't crash, which bodes well. Let's rename this a triangle layer. Oh, this is going to hurt. We're going to rename a lot of things in a second. Yeah, so I basically need to take this existing triangle rasterization function and turn it into a triangle picking function. Shouldn't be super hard, there's just going to be a lot of fiddling. Okay, that seems to be happy enough. What did I call this? Let's go back to the selectable component, because like I had like all the details here what I was going to call it. So we can get rid of all of this stuff about source colors. We're not using colors at all. We can get rid of, yeah, and get rid of the, we're not looking at the texture at all. No, wait. We should be, because we're going to be handling transparent objects. Okay, right, okay. We can get rid of the destination though. That can be got rid of. Yeah, this is literally just going to be a nearly one-to-one copy of the code that actually renders a triangle, but just returning rather than overwriting contents. Okay. Right. I'm going to do something bad here. I'm going to copy paste all this. Oh no. The worst thing is, I know this code has bugs. Like this kind of like shimmering is, you know, this kind of like one pixel kind of stippling here. That's a bug. And I think that line of bright pixels across the back there, I think that's also a bug. So I'm about to not only do a copy paste, but a copy paste of code I know is broken. How did it come to this? Okay, vendor selection. Okay, and then we're going to get rid of every instance of the word destination. Are we? Oh, I've just realized I made a mistake. I should have left the destination rows and columns in here. And the reason for that is, well, we need to know how big the screen is, right? We need to know how big the screen is to know what, you know, a cursor position means nothing without a screen to kind of like frame it within. Okay, so yeah, that should be good. We don't care about the destination depth or color though. Don't need those. Oh my god, this is terrible. We'll figure that. We'll figure that. Yeah, so I've got all these kind of like special cases for all the various kinds of triangle, like top to bottom. Wait, did they replace them all with top to bottom? Oh, I guess I must have done. I used to have special cases, I guess I no longer do. Well, that simplifies matters slightly, I guess. Oh my god, look at all this nonsense. Whew. Well, a lot of this can go. The part of the reason this is all kind of so complicated was I was trying to avoid like doing all this math per pixel, and I basically boil. So like I've got like a row of pixels. I basically like work out the leftmost pixel, work out the rightmost pixel, divide the difference by the number of pixels, and I can just do multiply adds. Very nice. But that doesn't really help me if I'm only sampling one pixel. So I'm just going to comment this entire function out, as I'm not entirely sure it makes sense anymore. So we didn't actually need the destination row and column at that point. We already have the, yeah, we're only using those to kind of clamp the drawn pixels to the screen. We can, wait, what did this get rid of? Yeah, destination columns can go, destination row can stay there. Oh yeah, we're not actually passing in the cursor position we're sampling anywhere. That's not smart, is it? Where's my sample method? There it is. Okay, all right. Next up, I just need to add those coordinates to here. We don't need to know the destination row at all. Yeah, because at this point we've already figured out that we're on a row that probably is going to match up. That should do. We don't need the source colors, don't need those at all. Oh, no, we do, because we're going to be sampling, we're going to be determining whether it's a transparent pixel or not. Okay, that's good. That's good. I could have just made this a menu in this game. Yeah, like you don't need the ability to click on buildings, but I'm going to need this for some future stuff I plan on working on. So it's good to get this at least kind of working. So like a lot of the complexity in here is just like working out like accumulators and stuff, which none of that really matters at this point. So at the moment I've got it looping through the whole, I've got looping through the rows of the triangle, and we know exactly which row we're going to, so a lot of this is going to be irrelevant. I'm going to comment it out just so I can refer back to it. This should start flagging up things as unused, and I can start getting rid of them. Like all the accumulators can go. What's this here? Oh yeah, this, so you can tell. So the way I actually rasterize a triangle is I work out where the top, middle, and bottom vertices are, and then if I just get Aspro open and just kind of like draw this up and kind of explain what this nightmare is. So if can I grab the left it? Aspro, can I grab the left? There we go. So yeah, if I have a triangle, like, let's use the line tool. If I have a triangle like this, right? You can basically just linearly interpolate over this long edge, and then you've got these two shorter edges here. And in some triangles, this vertex is on this side, on some, it's on the other side like this. So that's the only real kind of special case in there. Once I've figured out where the top, middle, and bottom are, there are complexities, like say you can have a completely flat, flat bottom or top triangle, but I just basically treat that as one of these where the top or bottom is, zero height. And like I say, I basically then run down it from top to bottom, cutting it into strips, and then kind of like working from one edge to the other. It's very dumb. There are much, much better ways of doing it because I did no research. I just did whatever made sense. To me personally, that is. Okay, so all the accumulators are gone. That's good. So next up, we need to figure out where the cursor kind of is in regards to all of this. So we can do some early exits here. Yeah, we can do some real fast kind of just exits here, just to kind of like skip ones that were definitely above and below. We might be able to save some before. In fact, this entire thing on is restructuring if I'm going to do this in a relatively well-performing manner. This is going to be something we're probably executing like every frame, so it needs to be at least kind of efficient. Frustum culling would actually help a lot. I should do that at some point. I should definitely do frustum culling at some point. Yeah, you'd be able to discard like an awful lot of, you'd be able to discard like an entire object at once if I was doing that. Okay, so next up we need to figure out, we don't know where the left and right vertices are, only top, middle, and bottom. So we can't really do like a super quick exit, but we can do a nice simple check to see whether we are above or below. Hang on, I'm just trying to read my own code here and figure out what the heck I was even doing. So the top destination max is... Yeah, okay, so... if the cursor is... if it's above the midpoint... Yeah, if the cursor is above the midpoint, then we know that it's on the top half, and if it's below or on the midpoint, it's on the bottom half. Okay. Now, a lot of this complexity in here, like doing this kind of check and stuff, was just because I didn't really want to be doing, say, like a min-max on every row. I wanted to kind of like, no, do this check once. Is it left-handed, right-handed? Whereas if I'm only sampling 1 pixel, there's nothing to really be gained by... Oh, I've kind of like drawn a funny-looking fish. Yeah, if I'm only sampling one pixel, there's no benefit really to not just doing a min-max per kind of sample. So we're in the upper half. So now let's figure out where the long edge is. Okay, let's encase all of this because some of this is definitely going to apply in both branches. So yeah, we're getting I'm doing all this in floating point math because weirdly enough, it turned out that it's actually faster in many cases. Like float division is like way faster than integer division, which is still weird to me, but if it's how it is, it's how it is. Okay, so at that point we can then, we can actually calculate right here. We can calculate exactly what column the left edge is going to be on. So it's going to be the long edge is going to be on. So it's going to be the top column plus the, let's get the rows from the top. Yeah, I've kind of got this thing. I've got like the top and bottom half of the triangle, and then like I've got the top and bottom vertex, and I'm starting to get name collisions. I'm going to use like upper and lower for the halves, I guess. Oh, hang on. It's actually the long, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so now we know which column that is, and next up we are going to calculate based on whether we're on the upper or lower half. We're going to figure out, we're going to basically do all this again. And from that, we can figure out where on kind of like the line we are. So we're in the upper half, so we're just going to calculate everything as though, yeah, we're going to completely ignore the lower half. So yeah, we're using the middle row as the bottom of the top, if that makes sense. Ah, what are you doing? Copy paste. Do as I tell you, computer. Is it going to be happy with that? Yeah, it is. Okay, so at this point we have, sorry, we have the, on the destination image, we have the position of the long and the short side on the X and Y axis. We don't know which one's which, so I guess we do a comparison at that point, right? Now they could also be the same. It's entirely possible it's occupying a single pixel, in which case we'd ignore that. Because you've got that entire thing where you're meant to bias triangles one way or the other. We might end up with some slight differences between the rendering and the selecting of a triangle. That's actually going to be kind of fine. That doesn't super matter, like, you know, hyper much. It's unlikely anyone would really notice. It'd be kind of annoying to know it was the case, but we have time constraints and we're going to work within them, even if they are self-imposed. So Oh, something's just occurred to me actually. We're going to have these two kind of branches where we're kind of like figuring out like whether it's the upper or the lower, but then beyond that, it's actually going to be the exact same code. Either way, we're just going to be using the coordinates we got to kind of like, you know, yeah, it's going to be the exact same. Right, so let's just calculate for the bottom half. We're also going to have to add things for. Oh, just realized a lot more of this is actually reusable than I really thought. Okay, so yeah, a ton of this is going to be reusable. Oh my god, what am I doing? Yeah, tons of this is reusable, like almost all of it is. Yeah, basically all I need to do is basically just pluck out the information regarding the side of the line I'm on. Yeah, so it turns out that this half of the triangle is actually fundamentally identical to this one, except that rather than starting here and pointing this way, you start here and point this way, which I guess should have been obvious. I guess that should have been obvious, but here we are. And we can also do the same with the destination column, but sorry, the source column. We're going to need that to sample the image to know if this is a transparent triangle or not. And then we're going to do the same with the depth. So many advantages afforded by not even trying to fix the affine texture warping problem. Just do whatever the hell you like, it doesn't matter. And none of these are consts as we are assigning them inside a branch. So let's just figure all these out now. Man, this went from being a bit of a nightmare, like, you know, oh, it's going to be all this copy-pasted code, to being like, it's going to be kind of easy, actually, a bit of a doddle. What was I going to do for this? That was going to be the top destination column, and that's going to be middle destination column, take top destination column. Okay, that's easy enough. And then top source column, yeah. Middle source column, take. Now, I'm not going to be doing any kind of like super in-depth testing on this. If it appears to work, I'm going to say that's probably good enough. And yeah, because I've spent way too long on this as is. So it's entirely possible, and quite frankly, extremely likely there will be many bugs in this. However, I don't care. It's one of the things about games, they don't actually have to be correct. Like one of the, you know, a major entry in one of the most Oh, which Ultima game was it? There was an Ultima game, bear in mind how big and influential those were, where the weapons in it literally did nothing due to a bug, and nobody noticed for like years. People just assumed that, you know, hey, I'm picking up new weapons. Well, you know, the damage increase must be due to that, and it's like, no, it's just because you're leveling up. As long as it doesn't crash the game or frustrate the player, it's not actually a bug. Okay, so now we know that the cursor is somewhere vertically on the triangle. We have all the details of the horizontal strip we're about to be working from. Let's go. So let's work out where the short edge kind of lies. It's going to be the start plus the erosion top multiplied by the columns per row. Oh, hang on, I actually need to do some division here. Yeah. Thankfully, float division is relatively fast. Easy. Well, that said, maybe I should actually calculate the reciprocal. What do I call it up here? Rho delta reciprocal. It might help if I can pick a variable name I can actually spell. That'd be a good idea. There we go. That should do the job. So now we have the two columns. We have the maybe left, maybe right, maybe left, maybe right. So now we need to figure out which way around they are, and if the mouse cursor is outside of that, those bounds, which reject. Otherwise, we then do the full calculation where we figure out exactly what the depth and the the color are going to be, and I think that's all going to be done. I used to have this separate function here specifically because I had so many ways of getting to the sample row, like whether it was like the top half or the bottom half of a triangle, whether it's left or right-handed, but none of that really matters anymore. We can get rid of this. This entire function can just go. What are odds of this compiling, let alone working first time? Like maybe 1 to 20? Okay, so we next figure out whether our so we next figure out like whether our columns are the way around or not, and then all we need to do is actually figure out like which is the left and which is the right. That's all we actually need to do. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, actually, another example, like the kind of great classic example of it just legitimately doesn't matter how good game code is the classic VVV switch statements. This is a thing of beauty. Not Nintendo Switch. Right, I've not seen this article before. Oh, here we go. We're into Reddit. Oh no. Oh, I think this has been edited since. This isn't a permalink, because no one would permalink a line. Yeah, there's basically like a switch case statement in this that had like about... Yeah, it's just basically like reams and reams and reams and like that's 36 cases or stuff like this. It's like my code is nowhere near as bad as this. I mean, I look at this and I go, this must be machine generated, right? And the answer is no. Handwritten. Okay, so if the long session, then the left is the long and the source is long. Oh, am I not calculating that yet? Oh, okay. And then for the right, we're going to use the short in all cases. Ah, we actually need to do our interpolation as well. Yeah, I forgot about that. We'll do that. We'll do that next. We'll do that kind of here, and then we'll swap them over as appropriate. And then we're going to do this, and we're just going to swap them around. This kind of thing is usually where all the bugs creep in, so I'm going to keep my eye out for them. Okay, let's work out our source column. I'm sure the compiler will do a great job of reordering this for me. Oh, actually, if I'm going to be multiplying this and this together quite often, I might just... Yeah, short destination row progress, I guess is what I could call it. And I could actually just do that. Hey. Maybe Casey Muratori would be proud of me, I don't know. So now we've got our source column, and now we're just going to get our depth, which is almost the exact same thing. Helps if you spell it correctly, usually. I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, now we need to figure out the long side depth, which should be pretty simple. It should be very similar to this. So we have our long destination column. Where are we calculating that? There it is. So we're going to do something quite similar to that, I think. Oh yeah, we're going to completely restructure this. So I called it progress, didn't I? Yes, I did. So it's the distance from the top, and then are we using this anywhere? No, and then we just divide it by the row delta. So again, we're not actually going to be using that anywhere else, so we can just put it here. Works for me. And then nice and easy. Nice and easy. And then we just do the other axis the same way. I am wondering why I did it any other way in the rasterization. Oh yeah, it's because it's doing a loop, isn't it? So like taking kind of like increments and kind of like adding them is probably still faster. So this is going to be the source column, and we're going to have our depth as well. And we don't actually use this column delta anywhere else, so I'm just going to move it into here. And we're going to do the bottom source column, take the source, top source column, and bottom depth, take the top depth. Easy. Right, okay. Ah, that's maybe why we kept that. Okay, I'll put that back in. Okay, now we've got another error here. Oh, that's fine. That's just that's the bit we haven't rewritten yet. So now we have the left and right edge on the line that we're currently on. So now we check if the cursor is left of the leftmost pixel, then return nan. Else, if it's on or right of the rightmost pixel, because we're a left biased implementation here, return that. Otherwise, this is when we actually need to sample that texture and make sure the pixel we're on isn't transparent, and then return the depth. So yeah, at this point we actually need to calculate where the cursor is in relation to the line. So that's simple enough. Get rid of all this code, don't need any of this anymore. Man, I was terrified that was going to be massive, and it's actually turned out to be quite small. It hasn't worked yet, so I need to be careful about saying things that are too optimistic, but that actually turned out much smaller than I expected. I did wonder if I could make this reusable in some way, this function, because I'm going to have the same thing over and over again of, like checking vertex order. Maybe I could have a thing where you pass in the vertices and it gives them back out in the right order. That's probably a better way of doing things. I shall put a do in there and then never look it up. Yep, that sounds like my kind of thing. Okay, so now we've got the progress along the line, and for now, I'm just going to ignore transparency. And because it's not going to matter for this particular thing we're working on. Oh, actually, we can use our linear interpolation functions. So from the left depth to the right depth, and using the progress. But it's not going to work just yet because I'm not actually calling this from anywhere. But I want my list of errors, please. Give me my list of errors. That's a lot of errors. Yeah, I knew we weren't going to get off that one lightly. And I'm just going to avoid these off as we're not using them yet, but we will be when the transparency checks are actually implemented. So even though I called it an opaque mesh object, it actually has cutout transparency. It's more a matter of which queue it's in, really. Oh, I'm also not actually calculating where the I've forgotten to calculate the row number that we're actually going to be sampling from as well. Oh well, we'll come back to that another time. And we're not using the number of destination rows or columns. Oh yeah, we don't need them. Yeah, it's already been... in my head, we hadn't actually transformed the triangle by now, but we have. Get rid of those. And get rid of those. Yeah, we only need those if we don't know exactly how... if we don't know how big the screen is. But we already know, because we've already transformed the triangle by this point. Okay, that's going to fail to build again, but that's fine. Oh yeah, we're also not using that just yet. Okay, next up we need to... Why is this still here? Man, it's a 2-hour odyssey to make it so I can click on some buildings. How exciting. Oh, that seems to be building. Come on, you can do it, you can do it. It seems to be doing it. Okay. I'm a bit shocked that built, but okay. So the next step is I need to add a function to a mesh to sample the entire mesh. Because at the moment we have a function to sample a triangle. We don't really want to be iterating over the mesh everywhere. For a given mesh, and how far away is that point? Yeah, I was thinking, do we need anything else in here other than the cursor position? And the matrix, we need the matrix as well. And we're also going to need the size of the destination as well. I'm just going to adjust this to say to remove all mention of video buffers, because it's not necessarily going to the video buffer. It is currently, but like a later project, that might not be the case. Okay. That'll probably do. Oh, I've left the word selectable component in there. That won't do. Now this is a bit annoying because it means I'm actually going to end up transforming the same mesh multiple times, the same frame. Don't really think there's anything I can do about that, short of, you know, having like a big vertex cache of some kind. I'll put to do in here just to mention that I've been thinking about it. And frustum culling too. So in the game I'm currently building, and in fact, thinking about it, basically any game I might make with this, frustum culling isn't going to do a huge amount, as I'm mostly not going to have a movable camera. I'm looking to build games that are way simpler than that, really. But it's definitely a good thing to have. And being able to like reject the entire mesh because you know its bounding box doesn't cover the cursor would speed things up a lot. Oh yeah, I also need a... I also need to actually, have a mesh to sample. That's usually a good idea, isn't it? And we also need the destination rows and columns. And rename it to mesh sample, and that should be good to go. So I'm just going to dump a function at the bottom here. Now I seem to remember that a mesh actually has a... Yeah, rendering a mesh is slightly complicated, and unfortunately, we're going to end up with basically two functions to do almost the exact same thing here. Oh, does this take a full image? I can't just give it a width and a height. Why did I do that? Let's fix that. Let's fix that mistake. Easy. We might even have got a slight performance speed up from that. That will break everything, but that's good. I think that might actually be one of the... I don't think there's many places we use it. I think we might also use it in the image components, so that's also going to need fixing there. Let's also put those into temporary variables, so we're not constantly retrieving something from a struct. The compiler may very well be smart enough to know that can't ever be mutated, but I don't know. I'm not going to take the chance. Do I already have a thing in here somewhere where I'm pulling out the... Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, there it is. And we're going to sample the triangle instead. We're going to keep a running tally of how far away the closest thing was. Nearest depth is going to initially be not a number. I could have used infinity actually for depth. That would have worked as well. Oh well. Okay, if it isn't not a number, which again, it's always really hard to wrap your brain around, and either the nearest depth is or the depth is closer than the nearest depth, then the nearest depth is the depth we've just sampled. And then we should be able to get to, like, say, the end of, because I think this is the loop here, isn't it, that we're currently going through. And we've got one more loop. Yeah, because we've got materials, then triangles with materials, and then we return the nearest depth. Right, so that's mostly the same arguments. That's kind of neat. And then it's just rows and columns. Why did I call it rows and columns rather than row and column? Don't know. Okay, that will probably fail. Come on, tell me what I've done wrong, compiler. Yep, it failed. Ah, yeah, it's the image component I mentioned earlier. So let's get the width and height of the video buffer here. And then we just pass those in, and we should be good to go. Nope. Oh, yeah, yeah. Those should not be floats. It's building. It doesn't mean a lot, but it's building. Come on, you can do it. Hasn't it blown up yet? Okay, okay. Oh, no, 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 and then it blew up. What was the issue? Oh, have I accidentally deleted my entire triangle rasterization method? That's... Oops. I'm just going to take a backup of this before I start tinkering with it again. Did I not rename the actual function that you... Oh. Didn't rename the actual the public function. I renamed every other one. I think I know how, because I searched for triangle underscore rather than triangle just in general. Okay, so next up we need to go to our opaque mesh component. And we currently have that sample method that is very kind of vacant at the minute. And we should be able to just use this to... yeah, we should be able to use this to sample our actual mesh. So it's going to be very similar to this. What do we have in here? We have mesh, matrix, destination rows, destination columns. Not ideal, but we'll figure it out. Is there anything else to go in there? Oh yeah, we actually need to pass down the rows and columns that we're selecting. And then use that to the index. That might work. Let's find out. We've already lost the Okay, that doesn't work, but it's doing something, which is more than I really expected. It's for that. This freeze probably isn't the game code. I have a bug with my actual sort of runtime where it occasionally just has like a runaway condition. Okay, let's try and work out here what's actually happening. Is there any correlation between where I'm placing the mouse and what it's doing? No is the answer. Okay, so let's go to our world map and let's try narrowing it down to just one object, just so we can get a real feel for like where it is and isn't working without being distracted. Let's narrow it down to just the one object. Do a build. Oh yeah. Where do I put the mouse to activate that? It seems I can't. Oh no. Oh no. All right. Why not? The next question is, am I definitely passing down the right? Oh, hang on. I see what the issue is. If I go into the image component, how do I deal with this in here? I'm gonna have the sample callback in here somewhere, right? I have a bug here and it's just, I know where this worked though. Right, so the bug here is that I am conflating selectable components. Yeah, so basically when you're creating either an image or a mesh component, you pass in this number, which is like a reference number that gets passed back up whenever you interact with something. Now, that is being passed back into here. I need a separate reference number for whether it's a sample or not. We can do that though, that's no problem. Oh, I never actually documented the sample callback. Oops. Oh, I did. I just didn't rename it. Okay, so next up I just need to add another meta for the sample callback. And then I need to make it use it. And we should be good. Man, that is a pretty dumb bug to leave in. That is just like... That, when I was asking earlier about like memory pointer issues, that's the kind of thing I've been having where like it doesn't crash, but it does something very strange. It's actually, I don't want to say it's intentional, but it's definitely somewhere I want to go with it, like making it so when the game goes wrong, it does weird things. Like I really love how much, like maybe I'm alone in this, I love how much depth the missing note bug adds to the world of the original Gen 1 Pokemon. Might just be me, but like having this weird mysterious thing that worked in just weird ways and did weird things because it was just in like out of bounds memory access added like an extra at least 30-40% to me in interest in the game. And it might, part of the reason I don't have as much interest in the more modern Pokemon games might well be just because they're not buggy enough in ways that are interesting and fun. Yeah, that missing no glitch. It is definitely a glitch, but the chances of someone encountering it without being told about it is like actually zero. I don't think anyone could encounter that unless they were incredibly lucky or actively looking for it. Okay, so when we come to the sample function, where is it called? There it is. Yeah, so like even though it is definitely a bug, I don't think it really breaks the game in any way, because it's so unlikely. And when you actually find it, it actually adds depth to the game, kind of. So we want to pass in our index here as the sample meta, which means that when we call back into this, we'll have the actual bucket number that we're grabbing it from, we're sampling from. And we have the same here, where we're going to pass the index in. And then this is unused. Why is it unused? Because I never actually put it away. Thank you, C compiler. I actually forgot. Okay, this might work. Oh yeah, I changed the header file, didn't I? Damn it. Talk amongst yourselves. I've generally found that actually stopping a build and restarting it to run it parallel takes longer than just letting it run. So we're coming up on the end of today, really. As soon as I get this working, I'm basically going to do something else. But it's been an odyssey. Oh my god, it works. Okay, let's put the other objects back in and see if it works. It was that. That was so stupid. That was such a dumb issue to have introduced. Okay, let's rebuild. Let's see if it works with many objects. Oh my god, it does. And the depth sorting works nicely, and I think that might not quite be right. Yeah, I need to, I'm just going to rotate this object around a bit just so I can see if it's working or not. I think it was this one. Let's try that. That should roll it left, I think. Yeah, so we have like some nice diagonal edges to test on, and hey, that's looking good. Can we test it on, say, this bit here? Hey, that's looking real good. I think it might be activating slightly early. Either that or my mouse cursor might be misaligned. I'm not sure which. I think my mouse cursor might be misaligned. I'm just going to put a comment in the triangle code saying that, because that's working well enough that I can build the game with it, to do maybe misaligned on X. And yeah, they kind of highlight when I click them. If I drag off, I can kind of do the whole activation thing. Yeah, happy with that. Okay, let's put the map back the right way up, and I'm just going to restart the game from the beginning and make sure I haven't broken any of the image component selection functionality. So, got storage. Why would you open any but the one that actually has a file in it? Thank you. So does this look right? So this bit looks right. It is. Oh, hang on. I know what the problem is here. The problem here is I didn't do that depth tweak I was talking about. Let me go to. I'm just going to commit this change to the image component and the selectable component just to fix the fact that it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't correctly kind of pass on the right value. Fix meta being used as image component index. Okay, and then, so this issue here is that this this text box is actually clipping into the wall, but text box is always drawn on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image component, and where it returns the depth, I'm going to make it, and the question is 1 or 0 closer? I think I did actually add a handy little feature to this. Yeah, I added like a depth visualization feature, so I'm going to use that here just to see like which way around it is. How did this work again? Okay, so it looks like -1. Oh, that hasn't gone well. Why is the whole screen white? What the heck? Huh. That's unexpected. Let's just make it smaller and see if we can see it. It might be just, blowing out the highlights. No. Oh, it's not that thing where kind of like the depth buffer is non-linear, right? I'm just going to go into the camera and yeah, I'm just going to reduce its range like a lot. I just want to know whether, no, we still can't see anything. What the heck? What the heck's going on here? I'm not like, I'm not clearing the depth till there, and I've definitely drawn stuff on top at that point. Have I broken this somehow? Is something like clearing the depth buffer? Hang on a second. It's definitely not hitting 1 or 0. So let's do that. This should give us banding, but we should be able to see it's banding that's getting like... What the heck is going on here? I've completely broken something. Anyway, I'm just going to undo everything I just did to that and that. Yeah, that's going to be undone. I'm still double checking before I undo things in case I undo something that I really don't want to. Oh, well, I'll know if it's working or not because I'll be able to select it or not. Yeah. So let's see, I want to... Where's the bit where it... I've modified this, haven't I? Yep, that can roll back. Okay, image component, and we're basically going to take... I'm going to take 2.5 off this, and the reason for that is I want there to be like no chance of there being kind of like float, kind of rounding error, like making an image ever behind something you can actually see. Okay, so let's have a quick run through this and just make sure it all works. Okay, that's actually working beautifully. Oh, the background disappeared. Something went wrong there. That was some kind of ID mix-up. This one isn't selectable, that's weird. Oh, I wonder if I have like a phantom like image component somewhere on the screen because I'm not cleaning them up properly. Like if I refresh this, that'll probably, yeah, that works now. Yeah, some kind of state corruptions happened at the point of like cleaning up that scene. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, let me see if I can reproduce that. Is that something that happens every time? Because if it is, I'll make a note of it and then try and fix it next time. I wonder what it could be. It's gonna be something to do with cleanup anyway. Let's just get all this checked in. That's changed. That's a legitimate change. That's a legitimate change. That's a legitimate change. What the heck, I'll throw that in just in comments. And did we change anything in here? Nothing I want to check in yet. I want to fix the sign function properly before I commit it. Let's just click through this as fast as we can. Let's just see whether the background disappears again. It's kind of at the point at which like you kind of picked him up. Yeah, that happens repeatedly. Okay, that's repeatable and reproducible. So yeah, tomorrow I guess we're starting out looking at that bug. Okay, so I should make a note in the introduction apartment. Where's the bit where it's which frame exactly does it happen on? It's exactly. I think it's exactly the. Oh, hang on. I need to delete the local state to be able to get back to the beginning of the game in a minute. I might need to add kind of like a pause menu or something in the corner. So yeah, it's if we choose one of the other routes, does it still happen? So yeah, at the point of grabbing him, so it's when yeah. Okay, to do this line somehow deletes the background and makes a phantom selectable. Anyway, that's for tomorrow, me to figure out. Until then, thank you very much for watching and have a great Saturday. I'll be picking this back up tomorrow at the same time as per usual. And we are halfway through this project. Oh my God.